You're watching KCAL 9 News at 2.
New Year's Eve is just around the corner, and as we move forward into 2012, we're also taking a look back at the history of New Year's Eve and the celebrations.
Kate Kelly from AmericaComesAlive.com joins us now with some fun facts about New Year's Eve. And of course, not only all Americans, but I think people around the world think of Times Square and the big ball drop. So can you talk a little bit more about how that came about?
Yes, and they absolutely do. People all over the world watch it. And the first time there was any sort of celebration for the New Year in what we now know as Times Square was in 1904. And the occasion was the fact that the New York Times was opening their new office building there. So Adolph Ochs, the publisher of the paper, decided to throw a big street party. And for the next couple of years, he held a big party and they set off fireworks and that sort of thing. But then the New York City Fire Department thought, you know, these fireworks aren't such a good idea. And they said they couldn't do that anymore. So Ochs said to his electrician, we need to come up with something else that we can do to honor the New Year. And so the electrician was the one who came up with the idea of the ball drop. And it was a 700-pound lighted ball. And the first year that they dropped it was between 1907, welcoming in 1908. And it's been dropped every year since that time, except during World War II when we had the dim out and, the country was supposed to keep as many lights out as possible. But otherwise, it always falls at that time.
And we've seen a lot of changes to the ball, have we not? I mean, now it's more energy efficient, right?
Yes, it is. It's supposed to be powered by the same amount that it would take to do 10 toasters. Is what yes, exactly. But it's changed in format and look. And in the 1980s, of course, they dropped the Big Apple. For 7 years, it looked like an apple when they dropped it.
And of course, after that ball drops, we always hear the same song. Tell us a little bit about that.
Exactly. And the Auld Lang Syne is known as the most popular song to which no one knows the words.
And we can hum it.
To talk about its history, we have to quickly go back to 1796 when Robert Burns, a Scotsman, found this old Scottish folk song, and he brought it to the public attention. But then we get to move forward quickly to 1928. Well, that's still pretty far back. But Guy Lombardo's band was just getting together. He was starting to perform in Canada, and then he brought his show to the Roosevelt Grill in Midtown Manhattan, and he performed at New Year's Eve, and he was the one who introduced the song at that time. Now, he was significant because he performed at the Roosevelt Grill for 30 years, moved his show to the Waldorf Astoria, but he was on either radio or television for 48 consecutive years. Wow. And Life magazine wrote, if they didn't play Auld Lang Syne with Guy Lombardo, then maybe the New Year just hasn't even come. So it really became such a part of the holiday.
Well, and I know at least in Vietnamese culture, that's normally played, it's a goodbye type song, and it's always played at the end of events or, at the end of a big party, but not just at New Year, but it is played as well as a farewell song.
That is interesting because here it's really only associated with the New Year's.
Of course, the other thing that people think about for New Year's is what's going to be happening here on Monday, the Tournament of Roses Parade.
And you've already done a couple of features on that. Yes, that started in 1890. The Valley Hunt Club came up with the concept of doing a parade, and in those days they did flowers on wagons and that sort of thing, and then quickly it became a much bigger parade, and they were looking for a way to cover their costs, so they decided they would do a football game. This was in 1902, and the teams were going to be Stanford and the University of Michigan. Well, that first year the score was Michigan 49, Stanford 0. So they said, this isn't any fun, and they moved on to chariot races. So they did that for 10 or 12 years, and then they decided they could do a lot better with football again. And in 1916, they went back to the football game, and they've been playing football ever since.
Chariot races, who knew?
I know. Chariot races, and when they got bored with the chariot races, they added in ostrich races and an elephant-camel matchup. They were really looking for anything they could to kind of finish the day.
Well, we'd have some really mad football fans, but I don't know, those ostrich races might be fun to bring back some year. Thank you so much. That's really interesting information, and it goes back so long. I never knew. Thank you. For more on Kate Kelly and her website, AmericaComesAlive.com, just head to our website, kcal9.com. We're going to have all the information for you. Just click on Seen on TV.